Welcome to our final Egypt lecture and a very weird pharaoh. Let's begin with a video introduction to Akhenaten. Note that you get some excellent close-up views of the Temple of Amun-Re at Karnak, which is where the episode opens. The images on this slide are not required works, although they used to show up frequently on the AP exam. We've seen a lot of pharaohs in the last 3 days, but none that looked quite like this. So why did he look so weird? Texts in the Amarna tombs describe the god Aten as mother and father of us all, and some scholars think that for this reason Akhenaten chose to have him portrayed as having both male and female features. That's what the term androgynous means, and it's a good word to add to your vocabulary. Other scholars speculate that these statues captured aspects of Akhenaten's real appearance and even reflect deformities stemming from too much inbreeding. Indeed, a mummy that has been identified that may be Akhenaten, it has a long skull and an elongated chin. Our Khan Academy scholars think that the change from rectilinear to more curvilinear forms may simply have reflected Akhenaten's determination to demonstrate his break with the past by developing a new set of artistic conventions. Note that while these depictions may have been more naturalistic, they still obeyed the Amarna period conventions. All of the art from this period shows long faces, pointed chins, swollen bellies, and in general more curving lines. Egyptian artists had not adopted a purely optical approach. The Khan Academy scholars do a great job with this work, so let me just add a few points. Note how the artist departs from hierarchy of scale, or at least grants Akhenaten and Nefertiti virtually equal status. I've also noted the softer curvilinear lines. We know that Akhenaten was a huge nature lover, and it's possible that the new religion's emphasis on nature led to a more naturalistic portrayal in art. Notice, too, the sun with rays, the symbol of Aten, and how these rays seem to be pointing at the two representatives of Aten on earth, Akhenaten and his wife Nefertiti. The hands reaching out to the king and queen actually end with the Ankh, the symbol of the breath of life. Even more striking is how intimate this family portrait seems to be. This is a plausible picture of a loving family, and it shows much more emotion than is usually permitted in Egyptian art. On the other hand, we still see composite figures, body and profile, frontal eye. We still see a uraeus or cobra on the sun. We see the symbols of both Upper and Lower Egypt on the queen's throne. So this is still a pharaoh. Akhenaten's religious and political revolution didn't last. During the last years of his reign, he stopped paying attention to what was happening outside his new city, Amarna, and many subject peoples rebelled. When Akhenaten died, the priests defaced his images. Here we see what was once Akhenaten driving a chariot, now rubbed out, and we know what the consequences that had for his Ka. The stele of the family that we just looked at probably survived because it was a private house altar, not an image in the temple. It was discovered in excavations at Amarna. Let's watch one last clip from the Engineering and Empire video and see what happened next. Last work of this unit. Whew! It's probably the most famous image from ancient Egypt, but actually, the tomb so famously discovered by Howard Carter in 1922 was in fact a relatively minor tomb of a pharaoh who, after all, died when he was still a teenager and before he could accomplish much of anything. Just imagine what the tomb of Ramses II must have contained before the tomb robbers made away with the loot. The mummy cover used a 1/4 ton of beaten gold, as well as precious stones, lapis lazuli, turquoise, and carnelian. But notice, too, a return to conventional depictions of a pharaoh, including the calm, distant serenity of the face. The proportions, such as the distance between the nose and the lips, indicate a youth, a healthy, perfect youth. Yet since we have Tut's mummy, we know that this is a deceiving depiction. DNA studies have revealed that Tut had a cleft palate, a clubbed foot, and had contracted malaria before he died, which suggests a weakened immune system. We also know that his father and his mother was not Nefertiti, but another wife, were full siblings, which might have led to genetic abnormalities. Finally, Tut was buried with walking sticks that the doctors who examined his corpse, his mummified corpse, think he probably needed to walk. Traditional pharaonic symbols, however, abound. The nemes headcloth, the false beard inlaid with precious jewels, The kingly uraeus cobra of Lower Egypt combined with the vulture neckbet of Upper Egypt. Note how similar this is to the Narmer palette in its evocation of the union of Upper and Lower Egypt, although this is thousands of years later. You may also recall that gold and lapis lazuli were favorite royal decorative elements in Mesopotamia. This video clip includes great archival footage of Howard Carter's famous discovery of King Tut's tomb and some fun clips from cheesy old movies as well. In this unit, we have covered a lot of territory and a lot of time. Next, we travel west to the Mediterranean cultures of Greece and Rome, a unit with a lot of required works, one that our past students have really enjoyed.